Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video to tell you a little bit more about the reading challenge that I'm going to do in 2022. I decided to participate in the 5x5 challenge by the Schole Sisters. And they are kind of a homeschool mom encouragement site, and the reading challenge that they put out, the idea of it is to pick 5 different categories to read over the course of the year, and then 5 books within each category. And the idea is just to read deeply in a different topic area so that you can learn the most that you can learn about that topic. So I just thought I would share the topics that I picked and why I picked them. So the first one I picked is World War One. This is something that I've been kind of reading about for the last couple years. A couple years ago, I realized that I didn't remember why World War One started, and so I wanted to read a little bit more about it and refresh my memory on that. And so I've been reading World War One books for a couple years now, but there's a few that I haven't got to yet, and so I'm just going to continue that reading project into 2022. And the books that I picked to read are Dead Wake by Erik Larson. I really like his books. He has a really engaging writing style for historical nonfiction, so I'm going to read that one. It's about the sinking of the Lusitania, which was a pretty big event for getting the Americans more involved in the war, I guess, more ready to get involved in the war. And then I'm going to read The Guns of August. I'm not going to remember all the authors' names, guys, but I'm going to read The Guns of August. It's another one that everybody recommends that you read if you're trying to study World War One. And I think it's very focused on the first couple months of the war and all the political dynamics that got it started. Then I wanted to read The Myth of the Great War. This is a book about, basically, he's making an argument about the different ways that the war was mismanaged and how the Americans helped end it. And then A World Undone is a book about World War One that I've been working on for a while. It's very long. It's thick. It's like this thick. And I've been trying to read it over the last couple years, but it's a very in-depth kind of play-by-play of World War One. So that's a good one, but it's taking me a long time. And then the last one I was going to read for World War One was The Unknowns, which is about the pallbearers for the unknown soldier. So when they went and got the body of a fallen American soldier to put in the tomb of the unknown soldier that's in Arlington, there was some war veterans that served as the pallbearers when they laid that unknown soldier to rest. And this book kind of tells their stories. So that sounded really interesting to me. My next category is Winston Churchill, and I've just been kind of interested in reading more about Winston Churchill over the last couple of years. I think it's really fascinating when there's a leader that is kind of underappreciated in their own time, but then in retrospect, as we look back in history, we can see how important they were. So like another example of that would be Ulysses S. Grant. We watched a documentary about him last year, and it was the same sort of thing. So I don't know why that topic just is something that I'm interested in. And Winston Churchill, I think, also falls into that category. I don't think he was as appreciated as he should have been right after World War II. But it's really interesting to read about him in retrospect. So the books that I'm going to read about Winston Churchill are first, Darkest Hour. I did watch the movie, and it was really good, and I thought I wanted to try out the book. And then the next one is The Splendid and the Vile. This is another book by Erik Larson. He's just a good writer, what can I say? So I'm going to read that one. I've actually already read probably, 15% of the book. So I'm excited to continue that one. It's about the Blitz on London. And then I'm going to read The Great Republic, which is actually a history of America that was written by Winston Churchill. I thought it'd be interesting to read something that he wrote. And Winston Churchill was just so great with words. I'm especially excited to read his own writing. And then the last one that I have on my list is Never Give In, which is the best of Winston Churchill's speeches. I thought it'd be really interesting to read some of his speeches. I don't know if this is not a book I'm going to read straight through because it's literally just his speeches, but I thought as I read about different parts of his life, I might try to go through the different sections and read his speeches from that time period. And then I have a blank space in this category just to fill in as the year goes on. All right, the next category I want to read about in 2022 is about homemaking. And this is just more for inspiration for me to make our home a peaceful and happy place for my family. You can always use inspiration for that as a wife and mom, and especially as a homeschool mom because we're home so much. So I thought it would be nice to just read some books about how to make our home cozy and just a restful sort of place. So that's my intention with this category. And the first book I'm going to try to read in this one is The Life-Giving Home. I have a confession. I tried to read this book a couple years ago, and well, more than a couple years ago now, and I just couldn't get through it. This was by Sally and Sarah Clarkson, and I know Sally Clarkson is very influential, very well loved in the homeschool community, and I do like her writing, but I have a really hard time with Sarah Clarkson's writing. And this is not just this book. I've tried reading another book by Sarah Clarkson and also had a really hard time getting through it. Her writing style or her personality or something just does not work for me. But I'm going to try this book again anyway. I'm especially kind of skipping the first part of the book, which I got very bogged down in, and maybe try to read the suggestions for each month of the year, because there's several chapters based on each month of the year, and just giving you ideas for, I don't know, just how to have a life-giving home. So I'm going to try that book again. I'm working on January right now. And then the next book I'm going to read is For the Family's Sake. This is by Susan Schaefer McCulley or something like that. I might be getting her name a little bit wrong, but it's Frances Schaefer's daughter. But she wrote a book that I read about homeschooling for the children's sake, and it's all about the Charlotte Mason homeschool method. But I just found out that she wrote this book, which is about just the home, creating a good home environment. And so I thought I would read that one, and it sounded really good. So those are the only two books that I have picked out so far for my homemaking category. So I have 3 more spaces left that I will fill in over the course of the year. If you have any homemaking books that have been like inspiring or interesting to you, I would love to hear about them. Especially, I'm thinking more in the vein of creating like a good atmosphere in your home, like a cozy atmosphere, something that'll be something that my kids will look back on with fond memories, if that makes sense. Okay, next I have classics as a category, which I just have an ongoing quest to read all the classics that I missed. Well, not all of them, because that would be probably impossible, but just as many classics that are interesting to me that I may have not read before. So the first one I want to read this year is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I read East of Eden from him a couple years ago, and it was really good, and a lot of it has really stuck with me, and I just think his writing is very good, obviously. And so I want to read The Grapes of Wrath. I know this book is one that a lot of people have had a hard time with, though. That's maybe a difficult classic in different ways, but I'm looking forward to trying it. And then that is really the only classic that I have picked out so far. I'm going to definitely pick the classic books I want to read by my mood over the course of the year. And then finally, my last category is biographies. So I have a few kind of picked out that I had in mind, but I think that a lot of my picks are probably going to change over the course of the year, just depending on my mood, because I am a chronic mood reader. But the biographies that I have picked so far, the first one is A Chance to Die by Elizabeth Elliot, and this is a biography of Amy Carmichael. And I've already started this book, and it's so good, and her writing is just really great, and Amy Carmichael is very inspirational, and I didn't know a ton about her early life, so it's been really, really interesting so far. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. All right, next on my list of possible biographies is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, and this is obviously like very popular book, and it's been on my list for a long time, and I've actually even read the first couple chapters a couple of years ago, but I have a problem with starting books and not finishing them. But I am looking forward to trying this one again. And then the next one I have on my list is the autobiography of Theodore Roosevelt. I've really realized in the last couple of years that I enjoy reading autobiographies of like people in history. I think it's really interesting and fun to hear about their life in their own words, and just the things that were significant to them to stand out. I know it's good to read books that were written by other people too, because you get maybe a more unbiased view that way. They can look at more historical documents and what really happened and give you the whole story. But I really enjoy reading autobiographies to see, like I said, what's important to the person who's writing it. So anyway, Theodore Roosevelt's a very interesting sort of guy, and so I'm interested to see what he wanted to tell us about his own life. And then the final one that I have in this category is As Always, Julia. This is a collection of letters from Julia Child, between Julia Child and her lifelong pen pal, Avis. And so this one just looked interesting to me, and I enjoy writing letters to some of my pen pals. Hi, Felicia. And so I thought this one would be kind of an interesting angle on a biography to read about that pen pal friendship between her and Avis. So I'm going to try that one this year. And then, like I said, I don't have all my picks for this category, and it's very possible I will change some of my picks, but those are what I'm intending to read so far. I'm interested to hear if any of you do reading challenges or what kind of challenges you do. I like this one because it seems very doable to me. It's not a difficult challenge to do, and it doesn't lock me into one thing too much. So I'm looking forward to trying it.